Hello and welcome. I'm Millicent Walker. Tonight, Kajuru people seek help as over 3,000 residents are displaced following attacks by gunmen. Outpour of emotions following alleged murder of party agent in River State. Governor Wike visits victim's family. INEC makes U-turn unsure of supplementary elections in Bauchi State. And ceremonies conducted in Ethiopia and Kenya for the 157 victims of Ethiopia airplane crash. In 24 hours after the attack in Sanga, Kaduna State, where about 10 people were killed, authorities have dispatched a combined team of soldiers and mobile policemen to the area. The police explains that the deployment of troops to the community and environs is to forestall any further breakdown of law and order. While appealing to residents of the affected community not to take the law into their hands, he also announced that efforts are being intensified to apprehend the attackers. Gunmen had, in the hours of Saturday, attacked the community and shot 9 people dead, burning down not less than 30 houses. Governor Nasser El-Rufai has commiserated with the survivors and families of the victims after he was briefed by security agencies. And now, in another part of Kaduna, Kajuru, precisely, more than 3,000 people have been displaced from their homes and many others killed since the renewed ethnic violence in Kajuru local government area of the state, according to a communique issued at the end of a meeting organized by leaders, association and youths from Kajuru. The residents are unhappy with the incessant communal clashes in their communities, which they say has retarded development and shown the council in a bad light.
Burned buildings and deserted houses. Residents have fled for their lives following clashes between two major tribes, the Adara and the Fulanis, that have claimed many lives in the community and displaced many from their homes. Over the last 1 year, Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State has been in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Between February and March 2019, no fewer than 10 communities have been affected by the attacks and reprisals between the two tribes. Presently, residents of Karamai, one of the affected communities, have fled from their homes to neighboring villages in Kachia local government area. Those who do not have anywhere to go are now taking refuge at the primary school. It's the same situation at Iri and Wabade communities since the renewed attacks in those places.
Really, everything is down for us. Even food to eat, we can't get the food to eat. It is in this primary school that we normally come and sleep every day.
Emergency agencies have been battling with the challenges of stabilizing those that were injured in the attacks, even as the victims narrate their ordeals.
I saw men dressed like army people surrounding our village, and there was nowhere we could run to. In my own case, as I tried to escape, I was hit by a bullet.
His Excellency directed us to visit all the hospitals and see the patients and give him some relief materials and also see them and know their condition and make a summary report to His Excellency.
This peace and reconciliation meeting with all relevant stakeholders is to identify the root causes of the conflicts and profile solutions.
Some people are trying to capitalize on this and also cause havoc for one or two interests. But the good thing and most important thing is that we, the leaders, have agreed we will stay together, and then we also call for a truce, a kind of, let's call it a ceasefire, so that we'll find a solution to the problem.
Most worrisome is the fact that despite the presence of troops in the areas, the killings have continued unabated. So what could be the reason?
Things are not too impressive here, but unfortunately for the criminals and the miscreants, the command here is very proactive, and we are always alive and at alert So we frustrated their efforts, and we will continue to do so.
The state governor, Nasser El-Rufai, in company of heads of security agencies, were in the area to assess the level of destruction and also condole with the victims.
I am here to commiserate with you, to sympathize with our communities, and join them in prayers that the 40 that were killed and the one policeman that was also killed, may their souls rest in perfect peace.
Having assessed the security situation and tendencies of a further breakdown of law and order, the state government imposed a 24-hour curfew on Kajuru and some communities in neighboring Chikun local government. This, according to the state government, is to forestall any form of spillover of the crisis to the state capital and its environs, as was witnessed during the Kasuwan-Magani crisis in October 2018.
Staying in Kaduna State, recently there have been reports of killings following attacks and reprisal attacks in the southern part. These incidents have created a lot of fear, not only in the southern part, but in the entire state. The governor, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, and the president, Muhammadu Buhari, have separately condemned the attacks, which have been described as reckless disregard to human life. This next report, our correspondent Oroluwa Shonibare takes a look at the situation in southern Kaduna.
Indeed, there is a situation in southern Kaduna State, one that has proven intractable for the government to deal with. In the first 3 months of 2019 alone, hundreds have been killed. Many have fled their homes.
We counted about 36 people murdered and buried in a shallow grave. Their houses were burnt. The attackers went to another village and killed the residents.
Hospitals filled with people whose lives have been violently jerked. The governor, Nasser El-Rufai, made several trips to the affected areas, each time expressing concern and suing for peace.
And this is most unfortunate. So far, the Nigerian army has said 66 have been killed. That's the report that we got. The communities say that more than 70 have been buried.
It is very sad that people that have lived together side by side for hundreds of years have suddenly started killing each other. These cycles of violence, particularly in Kajuru and Kajuru local area, must stop.
Security agencies have also announced the arrest of suspects in connection with the attacks.
As I am talking to you now, we are making more arrests. While on the road coming here this morning, I had 8 people arrested already. But we are doing everything possible to see that we fish those miscreants out.
From the intelligence reports gathered by the police, hopefully there should soon be some breakthrough on getting to the bottom of this. Because beyond understanding the reason why all this started, is a greater need to know how to put a stop to the violence permanently. Oroluwa Shonibare, Channels Television News.
And to take further look into the situation in southern Kajuru, I'm now being joined by Edify Yakusak, who is a research fellow, and she's done quite a lot of work on the southern Kaduna crisis. Thank you so much for joining us on News at 10.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, a lot of things on the minds of people, this rapid, thing we're seeing with regards to the violence, and especially southern Kaduna. You've done a lot of work there, yes, and you've heard about this recent violence. And some people are arguing this is a different place, but it's also in the same southern Kaduna. What do you think could be responsible for this fresh violence in that area?
Well, I think the current cycle of violence in southern Kaduna is something that has existed for years and it's the same thing that has taken different heads in the form of communal clashes, religious crisis, and herdsman-farmer crisis. But I think it's just one thing. It's a form of ethnic cleansing and genocide against the people of southern Kaduna. I say so because if you look at the patterns of the attacks, the people are attacked and they are usually helpless and without any form of provocation, and they're just attacked. Helpless people, women and children inclusive. They are just killed, slaughtered in the most gore and bizarre way. So I feel it is a form of genocide against the people of Southern Kaduna.
What do you think security agencies haven't been able to nip this in the bud? We've heard that this has been ongoing maybe since, you know, the 80s, so to speak. Why haven't they been able to clamp down on this?
Well, I think it's because the perpetrators have not been prosecuted. They've not even been arrested to a certain extent. I mean, we've had these crashes or this cycle of violence. I mean, I grew up knowing that Kaduna has always been attacked. And we cannot count a tangible number of people who have been arrested for the murder of running into thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people over the years. So I think what the security agencies have not been able to get right is to be able to pinpoint who are the people behind this attack, what are the exact reasons behind these attacks, and to nip it there.
So people are also wondering, you've mentioned women and children at the receiving end of this, and over 3,000 displaced at the moment. What do you think they need to do to protect them? I mean, there are fears of reprisal attacks, and we're hoping that doesn't happen, doesn't come to that.
Well, the situation in Kajuru now it's really sad. Much more than being sad, is a humanitarian crisis, because you have over 3,000 people in the camps. I'm sure more than half are women or children, 40 of which I heard are pregnant women, and 1,000 are children. So, and these are the most vulnerable people in our society. So I think much more than protecting them, they need relief materials, they need help, they need all the emotional and psychological support they can get. Yes.
With regards to what happened in Sanga, the situation less than 24 hours ago,
yes.
Would you say that Southern Kaduna is unsafe?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think calling Southern Kaduna unsafe is putting it mildly. Southern Kaduna is, for lack of a better word, I'm going to use a war zone right now, because it has happened in Kajuru and it's happening in Sanga. Where could be next? Would it be Kagoro or Kagoma or Ataka? We don't know, because these attacks, we only know that they attack people from a particular region. We don't know where it's going to be next. So I think security is a basic necessity that the state has to provide for its people. And the people in Southern Kaduna are not secure. So I think Southern Kaduna should be in a state of emergency as we speak.
A lot of people are hoping that this really ends as quickly as possible. But when we look at the government, successive governments in Kaduna, would you say they've done anything to stem this violence?
Well, I wouldn't say they've done nothing, but despite their efforts, this thing has still continued. These killings have continued, and now this is 2019, right from when the new government took in power in 2015, and up to now, there have been a series of killings, and still these things are still happening. So I think it still rests in their hands to do much more than they have done. And I feel, to a certain extent, the government should contribute, should play a greater role in stopping these attacks, because they have the force of the military, they have the police, and we've seen what they have done. They are not helping out, not because they are incapacitated or lack of resources, because we've seen what they've done with with the Shiites and the Biafra agitators. But I think it's possibly because of lack of political will to do so, or for some reason, I don't know.
So if there was one thing, a solution that you would prefer for what's happening there, what would it be?
Well, I think it still lies on the government, because the people of Southern Kaduna as a people have done their best. They've tried to start dialogue with faceless perpetrators, and it has gotten nowhere. So
some people are also saying there are certain root causes, maybe poverty, low economy, lack of jobs. Are these root causes
on the side of the faceless perpetrators, or on the side of the people of the Southern Kaduna? Because I can assure you, the people of the Southern Kaduna are not killing themselves. People who they don't know are killing them.
All right, we'd like to thank you so much, Edify Yakuse, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, the Nigerian Air Force says it is beefing up its capacity so as to better the fight against terrorism and banditry. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Abubakar, says the new trends of terrorism, as well as the challenges presented by kidnapping and rural armed banditry across the country, necessitated the special training. In part 2, after the break, Adamawa PDP rejects decision by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to create more polling units ahead of the supplementary elections. Please stay with us.